our being on the track was probably the hardest on her to anyone else, because she got stuck with the kids. And she had 3 siblings that didn't want to listen to her. So she had to fight her way trying to keep track of them, and under the threat that every day when I left the house, I'd say, now if anything happens, if we get arrested and they drag me off, make sure you round the kids up and you get over to your Auntie Martin's. So that was the condition that she got left behind at home. But another, talking to Carolyn last night, I was bringing up the point that if something like that were to happen today, if you band together to do a blockade like that, we'd get bodily dragged off. They wouldn't let us get away with it. I mean, it's amazing that we went as far as we did with just verbal attacks. Yeah. Because it could, if it happened nowadays, it would be physical.
Mm-hmm. But I think it's the way you guys did it that makes it important, because it was done how fighting for something should be done in a peaceful manner. It was not physically aggressive towards anybody, but you stood your line and you stated what you wanted. You know, I think a lot of demonstrations could take a message from that of how to do it properly. And I think that's why you were successful with what you did.
Yeah, well, it had a lot to do with it, and that was the way we planned it. But nowadays, I don't think it would matter whether we were that very passive or not. We were a passive organization, the same as when we blocked Pryor for to get the light at the corner. It was we were told that we couldn't do what we did on the track and stand there and block the traffic. But there was nothing illegal about continually crossing around the circle of people constantly crossing. And the traffic just couldn't get through. Remember that one?
There's a light there now.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
There's actually, recently, the community used the same technique to bring a highlight to the speed of the traffic.
Yeah.
So they did the same technique of walking around through the crosswalk and not blocking it, but they just kept walking around.
So did they get what they wanted?
Well, yes, they did actually. They got the speed limit reduced along Pryor from 50 to 30. So, yeah, interesting.
What are you, Carolyn?
To me, that was the start of the most positive experience I've ever had in my life. Because the fact of the trucks, what happened after that, we all sat around and decided, you know what, there's no grocery store. We have to go all the way down to Woodland's grocery store, all the way to commercial, so we decided to set up a food co-op, a collective food co-op. And we did it. We got the Raymer basement, in the apartment in 411 Campbell Avenue. We got the basement and set it up. It was just a group of people. I don't even remember at this point where we got our food from, but we were fully stocked.
Consolidated.
Yeah. I have to say it was a few years ago.
Consolidated.
Anyways, and then we got that, and then we thought about it. We thought, you know what? We actually don't even have an office here. Next thing you know, we were on to the high-rise where we set up an office. We moved out.
Kicked the management out of their office. Took it over.
We had an office. We set up that. We had control of the whole darn building. My God, how empowering can you imagine? Then we said, well, you know what? There's no playground around here anywhere. There's no games. There's nothing here. What we tell you how much it made me personally feel. And it gave me a sense of who I was and what direction to go in to do stuff. I was just amazed. I was not the only person. It was a lot of us that actually had moved on from here. I ended up going and working for the Children's Aid Society in a low-income housing area, hired by the Children's Aid Society on a 4-month grant to prove that we could do something. Well, I mean, who gives somebody a 4-month grant? I think they expected us to pay. And you know what? We succeeded. It was myself, Carolyn, and a couple of other ladies. It started off with 4 of us, and then there was another 4, I think, actually, after that. There was 8 of us that were set up to work in all low-income housing here. And we all did different things because every community had a different need. And then from then on, it was just game on. It was just nonstop. You know, I ended up working for the government for 30 years, retired in 2002. And I just did various things. And I mean, I empowered my children. They saw what could be done and with the associations that we had with different people that we met at Raymer. It was just really, really so that was just a positive experience. And I was only down there for 2 years, so you know, just so as to show you, didn't take long. That was my experience.
I've been into a lot of group activity over the years, and I think being a part of the Raymer Mothers was a very positive experience. It was also a very hard experience. Positive in that we won. If you stick to it, you can win. The hard part was when a small group of us decided that we needed to do this. This is a big area to convince people that we're on the right track. So when a small group of us decided to do this, and we had to go door to door, and I was one of them who went door to door, we faced a lot of resistance. You know, we don't do it like this. You're not doing it right. Sign a petition, write the mayor, call this, call. So we had a lot of resistance, but there was a strong core of us that believed in what we were doing. And we went out on the track the first time. We did not have a big number of women, but they were good. And we stood there shoulder to shoulder and hung on. And I'm telling you, those trains coming down the track, you feel them under your feet. And you're scared. You know, your heart's pounding because you really want them to stop. We went out there the first time. We did not have a big group of women because not all women supported us, and they thought we were really off the wall. I think, you know, Ollie and Barbara, Muggs, Joan and I, you know, we were part of the main core, and a few more people. We took them at their word, as I said before, that it was going to stop, and we got off the tracks after one day. And a few weeks later, this bad behavior stopped again, and I had a picture window of the tracks. You know, beautiful. I wasn't in a townhouse or, you know, whatever. I had this view of the tracks. And many phone calls, at least 1,000 phone calls went in that 2-week period to say we're running these things again. And the small group of us, they agreed to go out. I think there was even less of us the second time. We made a decision very quickly. We had to go back out there to stop it, to stop this behavior, you know, from this corporation that was bullying us. And we went out there and we were really steadfast in our belief that we were doing the right. So while we're doing this, there's a lot of static in the background. You know, you're not doing it the right way. There's a better way. You know, you've got to be more conciliatory. You know, be nice, be nice. But there was that small group of us. We went out there the second time. They stopped the train. They apologized, said that they'd done the wrong thing. They bought us some beer. And about 2 in the afternoon, it was raining and cold. We took the beer and went home, and we drank the beer, and we were happy, they were happy, we were happy, and everything was going to be fine. You know, within 2 weeks, it starts again. So they're out there again. Well, this time, you know, phoning them, they don't even take the calls the third time around. They know who it is, and, you know, you don't get through to anyone. We had a very impotent city council at the time who really gave no time to our need here, really. The third time when we decided we had to go out there, we had to really stay there. We knew the way to do that was to block them. We couldn't be there all night. So we put a tent down. One of our core group had a big old tent, and we put that tent down. And I think the third time we went out there, a lot of the people who had given us static or knew they had a better way to do it, they actually found their way to stand with us. And that was really, really, that was a big moment, because it had been very difficult talking to people and trying to convince them. You spent all day trying to talk to people, and you still hadn't got them. But the third time around, this was a pretty united effort on everybody's part, and they came out. And we had such tremendous support from the people in the area. We had tremendous support from community organizations. The Now people from Inner City, which was a group up near where the old Colts used to be, they got a bus down. We held our meetings in the bus at night. We would agree on what we were going to do, who was going to do what, blah, blah, blah. We had the BC Association of Social Workers who did bring down baskets of food. They brought down coffee for us. We just had so much support. People that I'd never met were down there, and people that I continue to see, or I see around there, they'll remember that. So I think, you know, it was our efforts and our moxie, we had moxie, I must say that, that we stood there and we got it done, and in that process, we really bonded in a way. The core of us bonded in a way that things could go on from there. But to think it was all apples and pie, it was just not that way. It took a while. The young lawyer who ended up arguing against the first injunction against us, Bruce McCall, is really sad that he died very young. And at our first reunion, he hadn't found the time to come because he was busy. And one day on Granville Street, he parks his car in the middle of Granville Street. He jumps out of his car, and the cars were coming and going. And he runs out of his car. He says, "Carolyn, it's me. When's the next reunion?" But, you know, he was dead within a year, Bruce McCall was, and that was kind of sad. We lost him. One of the mothers in here who was just steadfast, incredible worker, smart, didn't talk a lot, Judy Stainsby. Judith died a few years ago of cancer. We lost her. And she would have been here today to tell the story that she followed, which was the active chemicals plant that was on the line here. And I really wish Judith was here to talk about it. She really researched it. We lost Judith about 3 years ago. And then, of course, the person who's really, you know, the impetus to bring us together and carry this struggle forward is Bob Sargent. You know, it was Bob, you know, oh, Bob, forget it. Well, Bob persisted, and he put this, laid this down, and we can carry it further. Bob isn't here today, but, you know, hopefully he'll get here to see the play. But I think what I like to think back on it is, you know, we just developed an attitude, you know, like, who the hell do you think you are? You know, like, lying to us, you know, lying. I mean, the lies they told to us, it was just in your face, like, do we look dumb, you know? And, you know, it was kind of nice to see Shane go on, you know, do this thing. Nice to see Lisa here, and all the kids here, you know, that have come forward. I'm Randy is shy, so let me know what's up. And
But not entirely.
you know, it was just, we had our, you know, we know what justice is about. We knew what we wanted, and we just didn't waver. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't all love that we all got along. It wasn't that way. We had a lot of struggles. People stayed united. 99.9 of us were united. You know, in these decisions that we made as a collective. Ray were in this bus all night, talking and yakking, and we had to take turns sleeping. You know, looking after the tracks. You know, figuring out where the kids were. Can we take our kids? You know, that was always on our minds. Can they get the kids? You know, for misbehaving, that's all over the paper. Can we lose the kids? There were some tremendous media people at the time, and one of them was, believe it or not, Alan Barr. He was good. And another young reporter who actually wrote a very good story on the Raymond Mothers, Tony Tugwell from the Georgia Strait. And I tried to get them to call up that article, but they don't have their archives sorted out right, so they can't bring it up. But he did a really nice article on our struggle. And I got from that, if you plant your feet, you can win. But I've been in many other struggles, and I don't know, people don't want to plant their feet. They start arguing about, you know, their holidays, and they can't afford to go to jail, and, you know, is it really worth it? You know, it's like it's never been the same as struggling here. It was hard, but, you know, it worked. And, you know, we bonded. You know, we don't see each other, but we know when we see each other, we know what it's about. Thank you.
Plant your feet.
do this stuff to people and put some squeeze on them, and including the bond.
I think the city was tied to that too. When I remember there were 7 of them, and we tried to figure out who the 7 lawyers were representing. I always thought the city was part of that little charter that they had. You don't know.
Could go.
I can remember when we went into court into the,
Their element being in this situation and ready to be manipulated in all kinds of ways by the legal system. And you know that we now know, of course, they were incredibly sloppy on the other side. Probably because they were cavalier about it and thought, well, what the hell? How hard can this be? And then for him to step up and just balance it a little bit by having somebody who knew the law and how to be in a courtroom made a huge, huge difference.
I know Mom was pretty scared that day, and I thought he was going to fail.
That was tied together.
But I was just going to reiterate something you said about the good feeling that was there. And I've been in many demonstrations since that, many protests.
You know, as long as cameras are rolling, he's got one story. He really goes with Sheila, because you know Sheila's a man. And then the cameras turn off and he says, you know what, I'll leave it. And I just thought, well. And then the other city hall man comes down to invite us. Invite us to city hall on a bus strike. That's how arrogant they were. Please come to city hall and make a presentation. There's no buses. That's how. Oh yeah, we got there. We got our bodies there and did it. But it was just totally insensitive. It was just, city hall in Vancouver was really aghast.
Well, there's demonstrations going on now out in Burnaby, trying to stop the pipeline through park areas. So, you wonder, you do scratch your head. I think just to get back sort of to the Raymer project, many of you might not know that the province at the moment